She is already yours. Assume the feeling of love fulfilled. She may seem distant now. You may say she does not respond to your calls, or she walks by you without notice, or she loves another. But I tell you, if you can close your eyes and feel her hand in yours, if you can sit tonight in silent stillness and know that she is already yours, not as a wish, but as a fact, then you possess the only thing needed to bring her to you. Not someday, now. Do not chase her in the outer world. Do not look to her social habits or the movements of her body. For all that appears is the picturing of your inner convictions. The world moves in response to your assumption, not the other way around. Love is not earned. It is assumed. There is no battle to win here. No charm, no effort, no pleading. The only thing asked of you is to dwell in the end, to feel the joy of love fulfilled, long before the facts confirm it. Can you close your eyes and hear her voice say, I love you? Can you lie in bed and feel her warmth beside you, though no one lies there in the world of shadows? Can you sit at dinner and feel her gaze upon you, admiring you, thanking God that you are hers? Then you need nothing else. For in that assumption, you have already claimed her. She may not knock on your door tomorrow, and yet, if you remain faithful to the feeling, she must come. For she exists now within the world of your consciousness. And what is impressed there must be expressed here. You are not attracting her. You are awakening to the truth that she was yours before the foundations of the world. There is no separation. There never was. Do not concern yourself with the means. She may arrive through strange twists of fate, through seemingly random events, or through the dissolving of old ties. That is not your domain. Your task is simple. Assume the feeling of love fulfilled. Remain in it. Saturate yourself with it, until the dream begins to harden into fact. There is no virtue in waiting. You need not deserve her. You need only assume her. The moment you claim her in imagination and feel the thrill of her presence, you have already become the man she loves. Do not be fooled by appearances. They are echoes. Old beliefs breaking apart. Ignore them. The world will rearrange itself piece by piece, moment by moment, until it conforms to the truth you now accept. Love is yours. She is yours. And it is already done. The great secret is this: you become what you assume yourself to be. Not what the world tells you you are. Not what your past claims. Not what the facts insist upon. But solely what you dare to assume, with persistence and feeling, to be true of yourself. Assumption is not idle daydreaming. It is not the mere recitation of affirmations. It is an inward act of faith, a silent knowing, a deep inner movement wherein you accept the reality of your desire as already accomplished. When one understands that consciousness is the only reality, then it becomes clear that your world is not created from without, but from within. Everything you experience, from the people you meet to the love you seek, is drawn to you by the state of consciousness you occupy. And what determines the state you dwell in is not what you say you want, but what you truly believe yourself to be. The law does not respond to pleading. It responds to conviction. To assume a thing is to live as though it were already true. If you desire love, you do not wait for it to arrive before you feel it. You feel it now. You carry yourself as one who is loved. You speak inwardly from the position of already being chosen, already being cherished, already being adored. Your inner conversations reflect the outcome you desire, not the facts you see. This is not delusion. It is creation. The outer world is forever echoing your assumptions. If you persist in the belief that you are unloved, unworthy, or forgotten, then life will clothe itself in forms that prove it to you. But if you dare to stand in the silence of your own soul and declare, I am loved, I am chosen, I am already united with the one I adore, and do so with feeling, then, though the facts deny it now, your assumption will harden into fact. You must remember that assumption is not effort. It is not striving. It is surrendering to the reality of your desire. It is resting in the unseen and letting the unseen do its perfect work. You assume not to make it happen, but because you know that in the world of imagination, it already has. You do not assume and then ask how. You assume and then you remain faithful. This faithfulness is the test. For many will begin well. They will close their eyes, imagine and feel. But after a day or two, when nothing seems to change, they abandon the state and fall back into doubt. And yet the law was working all along. The moment you assumed your desire, the wheels began to turn. The change was set in motion. But impatience breaks the spell. You must remain loyal to the end. Think of assumption as the spiritual seed. When you plant it in the soil of consciousness, it does not spring forth the next morning. It needs time to gestate, to form, to express. But rest assured, every seed bears fruit after its own kind. If you assume you are loved, you will be. If you assume you are united with the one your heart longs for, you shall meet her in the appointed hour. You are not called to manipulate outer things. You are called to assume your desire as present and true. This is your only creative act. All else is shadow play. Do not ask if it is possible. Do not look for signs. The assumption once made in faith is the sign. The beginning is in you, and all things will conspire to bring the outer scene into alignment with your inner claim. Perhaps you imagine her walking beside you, laughing, touching your hand. Perhaps you feel her head on your shoulder or hear her whispering your name. These are not idle fantasies. These are the seeds of creation. The more vivid your inner world becomes, the more irresistible its outpicturing will be. And she, though seeming to come of her own accord, is being drawn by the magnetic pull of your assumption. To live by assumption is to live by divine law. The law that says, as within, so without. The law that holds that all you see is yourself pushed out. And so do not worry over her feelings, or her present life, or even her apparent disinterest. Concern yourself only with the truth you now assume, that she is yours and you are hers, and it is done. Every assumption, when persisted in, becomes a truth. The world may mock it. Your senses may deny it, but hold fast, for assumption is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. It is the secret key by which man reshapes his world, not through force, but through the quiet power of belief. Assume she is yours, not to get her, but because she already is, and the law will not fail you. Feeling is the one and only doorway through which your desires enter this world. You may read all the scriptures, memorize affirmations, or repeat words until your voice grows weary, but if feeling is absent, nothing will be birthed into your world. It is not the words that create, it is the emotion behind them. The law is spiritual and vibrational, and it responds not to the sound of your voice, but to the tone of your inner conviction. You must learn to feel your desires as though they were already realized, not in a distant, hopeful way, but in the vivid, immediate, and sensory way that the body responds when something is real. It is not enough to think of what you want. You must feel from it. To think of a thing is to see it as separate out there, yet to come. But to feel from it is to occupy the state. To wear the desire as your new identity, and let the world rearrange itself around that new self-concept. Ask yourself honestly, how would I feel right now if I were already loved? Not tomorrow, not next week, but now. What is the mood? What is the emotion that arises naturally in that state? Is it peace, joy, gratitude, confidence? These emotions are the gold of the spiritual world. They are signals that you are dwelling in the state of the wish fulfilled. And that state, once accepted and sustained, must express itself outwardly. You have been trained to believe that emotion follows experience. That joy comes after success, that love comes after union. But here you are taught the reversal: experience follows emotion. You must feel first, and the world will follow. It is not waiting for you to act. It is waiting for you to feel. For all things in this world move in response to the vibration of your inner state. Think of feeling as the language of the universe. Words are of the intellect, but feeling is of the spirit. The law does not hear the sentence, "I am loved." It hears only whether or not you feel loved when you say it. If you speak with no feeling, your words are empty shells. But if you whisper the same phrase while your heart burns with passion, it is as thunder in the heavens. The universe is not moved by the noise of language, but by the fire of your inner belief. When you imagine her beside you, do not simply visualize the scene, enter it. Live it. Feel the texture of her hair, the rhythm of her breath, the softness of her gaze. Lose yourself in the atmosphere of union. The more real you make it in imagination, the sooner you will see it in form. For feeling is the stamp of reality. Without it, your mental images are like unsealed letters. Never sent, never received, never answered. There is no power outside of this. All rituals, practices, techniques, they are meaningless unless they produce in you the corresponding emotional state. You could sit in silence for hours and still accomplish nothing. But one moment of genuine feeling, one breath of real emotional alignment, is enough to shift your world entirely. For you are not changed by what you know, you are changed by what you feel to be true. This is why imagination must be wedded to emotion, not cold visualization, but heated experience. The drama must live within you. You must become it. To feel love is to become one with it. And what you are, the world must reflect. She does not come because you long for her. She comes because you are already living in the mood of her presence. Your feeling tells the world, "This is who I am." And the world replies, "So be it." Practice this sacred art of feeling, not sporadically but persistently. When you rise in the morning, ask yourself not "What must I do today?" but "What must I feel today to live as the man who is already loved?" When you walk, walk as though she walks with you. When you eat, eat as though her laughter fills the room. When you lie down to sleep, drift into the sensation that her head rests upon your shoulder. Let the emotion become so natural, so normal, that it becomes your dominant tone. When that happens, the outer cannot help but echo it. All creation begins and ends in feeling. The mind constructs the idea, but the heart gives it life. You are not waiting on her. You are waiting on yourself to rise into the feeling that she is already yours. Once that feeling becomes your dwelling place, nothing can keep her from your arms. For feeling is the key that unlocks all doors. It is not a step in the process, it is the process. All else is shadow, all else is noise. Only feeling is truth. To walk by faith is to walk in defiance of the senses, not in rebellion but in wisdom. The senses are servants, not masters. They report the world you once believed in, not the world you are now creating. If you allow yourself to be guided by what the eyes see, the ears hear, and the hands touch, then you will always be a prisoner of what was, never a creator of what can be. The senses are not evil, they are simply slow. They reflect old assumptions crystallized into form. And until the inner state changes, the outer will continue its old rhythm. You may say, "But she is not here. She has not returned. She does not call. She loves another." And I say to you, none of these facts matter. They are shadows, appearances, echoes of a previous state of mind. If you believe that love is absent simply because the senses do not yet confirm it, then you are living under the illusion of material causation. You have forgotten your creative power. You have become hypnotized by effect and blind to cause. The truth is simple: the cause of all phenomena is imagination. If you now assume a new state, that she is already yours, and persist in that state regardless of what the senses say, then the outer world must change. It has no choice. It is law. But the law cannot operate through doubt. It demands loyalty. It requires that you trust the unseen more than the seen. that you believe in the invisible reality of your wish fulfilled more than the visible absence of it. This is where most falter. They begin well. They assume. They imagine. They feel the joy of union. But when days pass and nothing seems to change, they begin to look outward again. They scan her social page. They listen to gossip. They replay memories of rejection. And slowly, subtly, the senses regain control. The seed of assumption is uprooted, and the old state returns like a tide. Not because the law failed, but because the man abandoned his post. To persist in the assumption that she is yours, while the senses declare she is not. This is the test. This is the crucifixion of the old man. For the senses will scream, "Look, she is happy with someone else!" But you must answer, "No, she is mine. She loves me. I feel her now." You must deny appearances, not as a fool, but as a master of consciousness. For the world you see is always a delayed reflection. It cannot help but conform to the inner movement once that movement becomes dominant. Suppose she lives in another city. Suppose she has no idea you think of her. Suppose months have passed without a word. These conditions mean nothing to imagination. Imagination knows no distance, no time, no obstacle. The moment you dwell in the end, in the feeling of being loved by her now, the connection is made. Invisible threads are woven. Events begin to shift. People are moved. Circumstances reorganize themselves behind the curtain of perception. And if you remain faithful to your assumption, the stage will be set, and the scene will unfold. But if you peek too often, looking for signs, you betray the state. You reveal that you have not yet truly claimed it. The man who knows he is loved does not check for proof. He walks in certainty. He smiles to himself, knowing that what he imagines is more real than what he sees. And it is this steadfastness, this inner loyalty, that draws the unseen into the seen. Understand this clearly: the senses will lie. Not because they are cruel, but because they are bound by your past beliefs. They report yesterday's convictions. If yesterday you believed you were unloved, then today the senses will show you a world of loneliness. But if today you assume a new identity, that of the man who is chosen, desired, adored, then tomorrow the senses must change their story. Not immediately, not always dramatically, but inevitably. For the senses cannot hold their lie against the weight of a sustained inner truth. Learn to ignore them, not with contempt, but with wisdom. When the eyes say, "She is gone," you say, "She is here." When the ears say, "She does not care," you say, "She loves me deeply." When the facts say, "It's over," you say, "It has just begun." You do not fight the senses. You transcend them. You occupy a higher state, and let that state rewrite the script of your life. There is a power greater than what you see, and it lives within you. It is called assumption, and when you honor it above all else, when you refuse to bow before appearances, then you become the master of your world. She is not missing. She is not distant. She is yours. And the moment you feel this as truth and remain in that feeling, the senses will bow, the facts will yield, and the outer will become what the inner has already accepted. To dwell in the end is to occupy the state of your wish, fulfilled before the world gives you permission. It is to rise above appearances and time itself, and boldly assume that what you desire is already yours. Not in hope, not in longing, but in certainty. You do not wait for signs to appear before claiming the state. The claiming itself causes the signs to appear. The world reflects what you are conscious of being. So the moment you adopt the end, the journey begins to mirror your destination. Most men live in the middle. They are concerned with the steps, the means, the how. They try to figure out the sequence, the strategy, the logic of unfolding. But this is not your task. Your only responsibility is to claim the end and remain faithful to it. The end contains within itself all the means necessary for its own fulfillment. The pattern of its expression is hidden within the state itself. Just as an oak lies folded in the acorn, so too does the path lie folded within your assumption. You do not need to know how it will come to pass. You only need to know that it is. Suppose you desire union with a particular person. You do not dwell on their current mood, their relationships, their silence. You do not concern yourself with the present obstacles or imagined resistance. You move inwardly to the place where you are already together. You feel the warmth of shared presence, the comfort of being known, the ease of love expressed. You see yourself through their eyes and recognize that you are chosen. This is dwelling in the end, and when you do so persistently, the world will bend itself to reflect your new dwelling place. Do not think of the desire. Think from the desire. The man who thinks of love keeps it at a distance. He acknowledges its absence while longing for its presence. But the man who thinks from love as love itself, he no longer looks for the evidence. He becomes the evidence. And the world, which must always mirror man's consciousness, reflects back what he is. When you dwell in the end, you no longer ask, will it happen? You say, it already has. And your every act, word, and thought flows from that inner knowing. If you were now the man who had what you wanted, how would you speak? How would you walk? How would you think and feel? This is the secret. To think from the end is to behave in alignment with its reality, even while it remains invisible. You do not pretend. You embody. You do not act to make it real. You act because it is real. This is not performance, this is possession. Those who dwell in the end do not beg for silence. They do not question the silence. They do not look behind the curtain. They know that what they assume, if held without wavering, must come to pass. The world is only a delayed echo. It does not reveal the present. It reveals the past. It is always catching up to who you already are. So you must stay in the end long enough for the world to recognize the new pattern and conform to it. The temptation to leave the end will arise. Doubt will come disguised as reason. It will whisper, look, nothing is changing. She still hasn't called. She is still with another. But this is the test. Will you remain unmoved by appearances? Will you choose your inner vision over outer fact? Will you stand in the unseen and declare it more real than what you see? To dwell in the end is not to wait. It is to live. It is to breathe and move and feel as though the desire were already fulfilled. Because in truth, it is. Every fulfilled state exists now in eternity. Time does not create. Time only reveals. And the moment you select the end and claim it as your own, you step into the timeless space where it already lives. Do not be fooled by the silence between assumption and manifestation. That silence is not inactivity. It is the law rearranging the pieces, orchestrating movement, shifting hearts, and aligning circumstances. While you wait, remain in the end. While nothing appears to change, remain in the end. For the end is not a wish, it is a spiritual location. And when you dwell there, all things must come to you. So ask not how it will happen. Ask instead, who am I now? And if the answer is, I am already loved, I am already chosen, I am already fulfilled, then your dwelling is correct. Remain there, live there, and the world will soon catch up to what your soul already knows. Everything that appears in your world was once imagined, not necessarily by you consciously, but it was born in imagination, yours or another's, and clothed in the form you now call reality. Nothing comes into being uninvited. Nothing enters your life accidentally. What you imagine, feel, and accept inwardly is projected outwardly with absolute fidelity. The entire outer world is yourself pushed out. It is the mirror of your inner conversations, your silent assumptions, and your persistent emotional states. Imagination is not fanciful. It is not illusion. It is the creative faculty through which all things come to be. What the sculptor is to the marble, imagination is to your life. And just as a sculptor sees the finished form within the formless stone, so too must you see the finished life within yourself and mold it from within using the tools of inner vision, feeling, and belief. If you would reshape your world, begin not by changing others or rearranging outer conditions, but by going inward and revising the patterns you hold in imagination. If she has not yet come into your life, it is not because she is far from you, but because you have not yet claimed her in imagination as yours. You have not lived from the reality in which she already loves you, already chooses you, already belongs to you completely. The moment you imagine her as yours and feel it to be true, creation begins. The seed is planted. The world, though unaware, begins to move. Circumstances shift, people change, events conspire to reflect your inner picture. You may say, "But I have imagined before, and nothing came of it." Then I ask, did you imagine with conviction? Did you feel the scene real? Did you remain loyal to that inner world when the outer world denied it? Or did you imagine once, like a man wishing upon a star, and then return to doubt, fear, and old assumptions? Imagination must be fused with feeling. It is not enough to see, you must enter the scene, dwell in it, and feel it as though it were unfolding now. That is the creative act. Think of imagination as a spiritual womb. All things are conceived there. Just as the womb does not ask how the child will grow, nor interfere with the mechanics of formation, so too must you trust that what you have impressed upon imagination will be expressed in time. You need not know how. The how is not your concern. The pattern, the design, the journey, all of that is embedded in the seed. Your part is simply to believe in its reality and nourish it with attention and faith. Let your imagination become so vivid, so alive, that it feels more real than the world around you. Walk with her in imagination. Hear her laugh. Feel her presence beside you. Smell the air of the room you share. Touch her hair in thought, and listen to her voice as she says, "I love you." The more real the scene becomes to you within, the faster it must externalize without. For imagination is not a place you escape to. It is the place from which you create. Do not underestimate the power of idle thoughts and inner dialogues. These are not meaningless. They are seeds, and all seeds grow after their kind. If you imagine being rejected, being alone, being forgotten, then life will obey. It will reflect those states with mechanical precision. But if you imagine being wanted, being chosen, being adored, then love must come. She must come. Not because of who she is, but because of what you have accepted as true of yourself. Imagination is your divine power. It is the workshop where you design your world. It is the potter's wheel upon which you shape your reality. To imagine a new life and not persist in it is to begin a painting and never finish it. Do not abandon the image when outer facts contradict it. Remain in imagination, and the facts will bend. Remain in imagination, and the visible will bow to the invisible. You are not at the mercy of life. You are life itself, expressed through consciousness. You are not waiting for change. You are not seeking approval. You are not asking for permission. You are creating. Right now. With every image you hold and every feeling you accept, you are forming the blueprint of what must come. So be deliberate, be wise. Imagine with intention, imagine with love, and above all, imagine with the awareness that what you feel to be real inwardly must, by law, become real outwardly. This is not fantasy. This is not hope. This is the great truth that imagination creates reality, and you are its master. You have now heard the full law revealed, that to attain love, you must become it in consciousness first. That she is not out there waiting to be found, nor locked in the arms of another, but already within your grasp the moment you accept her in imagination. You are not asked to wait, to plead, or to chase. You are asked only to assume. Assume she is already yours. Assume you are already loved, not because the outer world confirms it, but because the inner world declares it. This is the secret known by the wise, practiced by the few, but but available to all. And once known, it can never be forgotten. Do not be moved by delay. Do not be shaken by silence. The senses will scream of separation. They will tempt you to abandon your state. But if you remain faithful, not to her, but to the version of yourself who is already loved, then all things must conspire to fulfill your inner decree. You are not here to prove your worth to the world. You are here to believe. And belief is not passive. Belief is the bold assumption that what you feel and see in imagination is more real than what you touch with your hands. The invisible is the cause. The visible is the echo. So walk in the end. Think from the result. Speak as the one who is already chosen. Act from the mood of the beloved. And let no doubt penetrate your sacred silence. For the moment you dwell in the end, with feeling, with persistence, with reverence, you awaken the creative power that shapes all reality. She is already yours, and your faith in that truth is the bridge by which she returns. Not someday, but now. If now, you will only believe. So close your eyes, enter the feeling, and dwell there. For what you dare to assume tonight, you shall awaken to tomorrow.